About education. Education is the process of facilitating learning, or the acquisition of knowledge, skills, values, beliefs, and habits. Educational methods include teaching, training, storytelling, discussion, and directed research. Education can take place in formal or informal settings, and any experience that has a formative effect on the way one thinks, feels, or acts may be considered educational. Formal education is commonly divided formally into such stages as preschool or kindergarten, primary school, secondary school, and then college, university, or apprenticeship. Education began in prehistory, as adults trained the young in the knowledge and skills deemed necessary in their society. As cultures began to extend their knowledge beyond skills that could be readily learned through imitation, formal education developed. In China, Confucius, 551 to 479 BCE, of the state of Lu, was the country's most influential ancient philosopher, whose educational outlook continues to influence the societies of China and neighbors like Korea, Japan, and Vietnam. Missionaries and scholars also brought back new ideas from other civilizations, as with the Jesuit China missions, who played a significant role in the transmission of knowledge, science, and culture between China and Europe, translating works from Europe like Euclid's Elements for Chinese scholars and the thoughts of Confucius for European audiences. In most countries today, full-time education, whether at school or otherwise, is compulsory for all children up to a certain age. Formal education occurs in a structured environment whose explicit purpose is teaching students. Usually, formal education takes place in a school environment with classrooms of multiple students learning together with a trained, certified teacher of the subject. Most school systems are designed around a set of values or ideals that govern all educational choices in that system. Education designed to support early development and preparation for participation in school and society. The division between primary and secondary education is somewhat arbitrary, but it generally occurs at about 11 or 12 years of age. Some education systems have separate middle schools, with the transition to the final stage of secondary education taking place at around the age of 15. Various states in the Republic of India provide 12 years of compulsory school education based on a national curriculum framework designed by the National Council of Educational Research and Training. In the United States, Canada, and Australia, primary and secondary education together are sometimes referred to as K-12 education, and in New Zealand Year 1 to 13 is used. Secondary education in the United States did not emerge until 1910, with the rise of large corporations and advancing technology in factories, which required skilled workers. In order to meet this new job demand, high schools were created, with a curriculum focused on practical job skills that would better prepare students for white-collar or skilled blue-collar work. Programs at this level 2, lower secondary education, are usually organized around a more subject-oriented curriculum, differing from primary education. Students will have several teachers, each with specialized knowledge of the subjects they teach. Programs at this level 2 aim is to lay the foundation for lifelong learning and human development upon introducing theoretical concepts across a broad range of subjects which can be developed in future stages. Programs at IST Level 3, or upper secondary education, are typically designed to complete the secondary education process. Higher education, also called tertiary, third stage, or post-secondary education, is the non-compulsory educational level that follows the completion of a school such as a high school or secondary school. Colleges and universities mainly provide tertiary education. Individuals who complete tertiary education generally receive certificates, diplomas, or academic degrees. The IST distinguishes 4 levels of tertiary education. Higher education typically involves work towards a degree level or foundation degree qualification. In most developed countries, a high proportion of the population, up to 50%, now enter higher education at some time in their lives. University education includes teaching, research, and social services activities, and it includes both the undergraduate level, sometimes referred to as tertiary education, and the graduate, or postgraduate, level, sometimes referred to as graduate school. Vocational education is a form of education focused on direct and practical training for a specific trade or craft. These early physicians, people like Itard, Seguin, Howe, Gallaudet, set the foundation for special education today. A broad range of educational approaches emerged, including alternative schools, self-learning, homeschooling, and unschooling. In time, some ideas from these experiments and paradigm challenges may be adopted as the norm in education, just as Friedrich Froebel's approach to early childhood education in 19th century Germany has been incorporated into contemporary kindergarten classrooms. Indigenous education refers to the inclusion of indigenous knowledge, models, methods, and content within formal and non-formal educational systems. Informal learning occurs in a variety of places, such as at home, work, and through daily interactions and shared relationships among members of society. While informal learning often takes place outside educational establishments and does not follow a specified curriculum, it can also occur within educational settings and even during formal learning situations. Evidence-based education is the use of well-designed scientific studies to determine which education methods work best. Schools deliver education, with support from the rest of the education system through various elements such as education policies and guidelines, to which school policies can refer, curricula and learning materials, as well as pre- and in-service teacher training programs. Since 1909, the percentage of children in the developing world attending school has increased. Nearly every country now has universal primary education. Similarities, in systems or even in ideas, that schools share internationally have led to an increase in international student exchanges. The Program for International Student Assessment and the International Association for the Evaluation of Educational Achievement objectively monitor and compare the proficiency of students from a wide range of different nations. Technology plays an increasingly significant role in improving access to education for people living in impoverished areas and developing countries. The OLPC Foundation, a group out of MIT Media Lab and supported by several major corporations, has a stated mission to develop a $100 laptop for delivering educational software. India is developing technologies that will bypass land-based telephone and internet infrastructure to deliver distance learning directly to its students. Educational psychology is the study of how humans learn in educational settings, the effectiveness of educational interventions, the psychology of teaching, and the social psychology of schools as organizations. Educational psychology is concerned with the processes of educational attainment in the general population and in subpopulations such as gifted children and those with specific disabilities. Instructors in post-secondary institutions might be called teachers, instructors, or professors, depending on the type of institution, and they primarily teach only their specific discipline.